You know how I haven't been doing this show for a couple days? I almost jumped in on the first good morning. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris, and back in the regular slot, it feels a little bit cozy in here. This is the best slot.
So glad you're back.
Me too. Thank you to Cameron Smith, Jennifer Sheets jumping in to help while I was jumping in to help Dan with the morning show.
Yeah,
appreciate you guys. I do like
Grandpa himself.
I do like doing that morning show. I mean, Dan's got a great team with Johnny B and with Joan, and we're lucky enough to have Joan with us too on this show. But cool to get to talk to a different audience. You know, the audience that works at the same time that I work.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it was great. I had a great time filling in. Great time last night at the debate party. Awesome party. Where were you at, bro? You promised us. I know. You promised everyone you were going to be there.
Yeah, I talked about it yesterday with Jennifer on why I was gone. Unfortunately, I did something to my foot over the weekend. So I got to work on Monday, and it was 3 times the size that it should normally be. Just limping around. I could hardly walk.
What did you do?
I don't know. That's the weird part. And I just woke up Sunday morning, and I was like, oh, it's a little sore, but I should be fine by tomorrow. Maybe I just stepped on it weird. And then it was just inflated, and I was like, that's not fun. So I got to work on Monday. Was like, okay, maybe by tomorrow I'll be good. Yesterday, could hardly walk on it still. It was a little better, but not great. Today, it's still swollen, but I can manage a little easier.
That's wild.
Yeah, I got home all day yesterday, just had ice on it, and then was taking ibuprofen just to
That's crazy.
take the swelling down.
You really went to that far of an extent to not come to our party.
I just didn't want to be there, man.
Well, thank you to everybody that did come out to our party yesterday at Hop Springs and Murfreesboro. Always a blast. We have the best audience. Glock Store was great. Shane Ring and Cover Nash, they were there. They were great. And we just had a blast. We always do. We always do.
Everything I saw looked awesome.
Yeah, everybody's awesome, man. We love it. We love hanging out with you guys. Thank you. 5371 said, don't let Mason give you excuses. I said I would bring him a wheelchair.
When did you say that? I missed that text yesterday. Dadgummit.
All right, so
it would also look weird for me rolling around.
But we had the debate last night, and the liberals heading into it were very excited. They were very confident, and I'm not sure if they were paying attention before the game started, but they were confident.
Hey, the college Democrats. You're the president of the college Democrats.
Yep.
How you feeling about the enthusiasm? Your name and how you feeling?
My name is Rose, and I'm feeling great. This is going to be a great debate. Oh, sorry, I touched you there. I'm so enthusiastic. Walls is going to do so well.
Well, that dude's quote didn't age well. It didn't age well one bit. Poor Rose. It was a train wreck for Tim Walz the entire night. J.D. Vance was smooth, calculated, compassionate. He navigated all the issues. They tried to ding him on everything from abortion to the southern border. It was absolutely 3-on-1. If you notice, there was some fact-checking that they promised not to do, and they fact-checked J.D. Vance. He fought back against it. They muted his mic. It was 3-on-1. Again, J.D. Vance, though, coming out unscathed, unanimously declared the winner.
Absolutely standing on business there.
He stood on business. And you're absolutely right. And he even won over the New York Times. The headline from the New York Times last night was Vance's dominant debate performance shows why he's Trump's running mate.
Wow.
Which is, it's funny because if you recall correctly, and I know you do because you pay attention like we pay attention, in the months after selecting J.D. Vance, everybody was like, whoa, what a mistake. How could you do this? They picked the worst guy for the job. No. They picked the best guy for the job. 100%. J.D. Vance was always one of my favorites for VP. Tucker Carlson was my pipe dream. But J.D. Vance or Sarah Huckabee Sanders, they were always the clear choices for me. And J.D. Vance proved it last night why he's the VP. J.D. Vance is setting himself up for a presidential run in 2028. He's going to have to earn it. Make no mistake about it. But with debate performances like this, he's got to be the clear-cut favorite. Easily leapfrogging DeSantis as the favorite for the nominee in 2028 last night. Easily. You compare J.D. Vance's debate performance last night to DeSantis' debate performances during the RNC, it's not even close. It's not even close. Not a knock on DeSantis either. This is just, bigging up J.D. Vance. That's how good he was. And it started from the jump. It started from the jump. Let me introduce myself to the American people. This is J.D. Vance last night, kicking things off.
So, Margaret, I want to answer the question. First of all, thanks, Governor. Thanks to CBS for hosting the debate. And thanks, most importantly, to the American people who are watching this evening and caring enough about this country to pay attention to this vice presidential debate. I want to answer the question, but I want to actually give an introduction to myself a little bit because I recognize a lot of Americans don't know who either one of us are. I was raised in a working-class family. My mother required food assistance for periods of her life. My grandmother required Social Security help to raise me, and she raised me in part because my own mother struggled with addiction for a big chunk of my early life. I went to college on the GI Bill after I enlisted in the Marine Corps and served in Iraq. And so I stand here asking to be your vice president with extraordinary gratitude for this country, for the American dream that made it possible for me to live my dreams. And most importantly, I know that a lot of you are worried about the chaos in the world and the feeling that the American dream is unattainable. I want to try to convince you tonight over the next 90 minutes that if we get better leadership in the White House, if we get Donald Trump back in the White House, the American dream is going to be attainable once again.
Nails it. Nails it. And I was talking with so many people last night at our debate watch party at Hop Springs, guys my age, you know, that 35 to 45-year-old crowd, and we all felt the same thing about Vance. For the first time in my life, I have a politician who intimately understands the American experience in 2024. Intimately. At least for me. And maybe it's different for others, but for me, for the first time in my lifetime as a 36-year-old man, I understand where this guy's coming from and what he's been through because my friends and my generation went through the exact same thing. From parents with addiction issues to going overseas to fighting in forever wars, this guy connects with us on a different level. Even more so than Trump. Trump, you know, we love him, but Trump didn't have a mother dealing with opioid addiction. Trump didn't go over to fight a forever war. That is so intimately the experience of our generation, and J.D. Vance just identifies with that. Tim Walz didn't identify with that. So it's really cool to see a vice presidential candidate who gets it. He gets it. Really, really gets it. And they tried to ding him all night. You know, one of the first topics that came up was foreign policy. With everything that we saw happening yesterday with Iran attacking Israel, of course, this was going to be one of the first questions. Tim Walz took that opportunity to blame Donald Trump for Iran bombing Israel. You know, Donald Trump, who's been a private citizen for the last 3.5 years. Make it make sense. I thought this was a weird take.
Look, Donald Trump was in office. We'll sometimes hear a revisionist history, but when Donald Trump was in office, it was Donald Trump who we had a coalition of nations that had boxed Iran's nuclear program in, the inability to advance it. Donald Trump pulled that program and put nothing else in its place. So Iran is closer to a nuclear weapon than they were before because of Donald Trump's fickle leadership. And when Iran shot down an American aircraft in international airspace, Donald Trump tweeted, because that's the standard diplomacy of Donald Trump.
Now, just to interject real quick, the standard diplomacy of Donald Trump, the mean tweets, it worked. It worked. It worked with North Korea. We had no new conflicts under Donald Trump. The mean tweets worked. You can knock it, but the policy of the Harris-Biden regime currently of telling Iran, don't. Not as effective as a mean tweet. I don't know. The proof is in the pudding, as our as our geriatric president would say.
And when Iranian missiles did fall near U.S. troops and they received traumatic brain injuries, Donald Trump wrote it off as headaches. Look, our allies understand that Donald Trump is fickle. He will go to whoever has the most flattery or where it makes sense to him. Steady leadership like you witnessed today, like you witnessed in April. Both Iranian attacks were repelled. Our coalition is strong, and we need the steady leadership that Kamala Harris is providing.
Steady leadership. Steady. Whoa there. I don't know if you could describe that as steady. Again, they've been repeating over and over to Iran, don't. And it doesn't work. Shocker. I know. JD Vance, though, he combats that talking point and absolutely drills home the fact that this catastrophe, another on a list of many, falls at the feet of Biden and Harris.
Now, to answer this particular question, we have to remember that as much as Governor Walz just accused Donald Trump of being an agent of chaos, Donald Trump actually delivered stability in the world, and he did it by establishing effective deterrence. People were afraid of stepping out of line. Iran, which launched this attack, has received over $100 billion in unfrozen assets thanks to the Kamala Harris administration.
Yep.
What do they use that money for? They use it to buy weapons that they're now launching against our allies, and God forbid, potentially launching against the United States as well. Donald Trump recognized that for people to fear the United States, you needed peace through strength. They needed to recognize that if they got out of line, the United States global leadership would put stability and peace back in the world. Now, you asked about a preemptive strike, Margaret, and I want to answer the question. Look, it is up to Israel what they think they need to do to keep their country safe, and we should support our allies wherever they are when they're fighting the bad guys. I think that's the right approach to take with the Israel question.
I love listen, let Israel do its thing. I'm fully fine with Israel doing its thing and us not interfering. I don't want to interfere. Personally, and this might be an unpopular opinion, I don't want to get into a World War III style conflict over any foreign country. I just don't. I don't want to get in another forever war with Iran. I don't. I don't want to handcuff Israel to do what they need to do. I think that they need to be able to go out there and defend themselves, take out Iran if they want to. But we have people drowning in our country. I don't want another forever war. I don't want my tax dollars going to another war. I'm tired of this kind of stuff. I don't want to send our sons and daughters overseas to defend or fight for a war that does it have anything to do with us? I think J.D. Vance nails it. Let them do what they need to do. Let's support them with intelligence. Let's support them with how we can. But let's not go overboard here, and let's not slow walk our way into World War III. It's just another reason why we need Trump back. I made the point last night. In 2020, we were signing the Abraham Accords. In 2024, we have terrorist attacks, chaos in the Middle East, Iran bombing Israel. We need the mean tweets back. We need a guy who is going to bring peace through strength. That's Donald Trump. I just hope that nothing pops off before November 5th. We need to get an actual leader back in the White House. Plain and simple. That's what we need. There was a lot more during this debate that was going viral as it was happening in real time. And they tried to go at J.D. Vance on everything. The border, climate change, and more. He was prepared for everything they threw at him. Every single thing they threw at him. We'll bring you more of the highlights on the way. Plus, I want to get your instant reaction at 615-737-9986. It's 920 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. A lot of uncertainty in the world. What's going to happen past November 5th? Are we going to have Harris in office? Are we going to have Trump in office? What does that mean for your investments? What does that mean for your financial future, your financial freedom? I don't know. But I know a guy that does know what this could mean. I know a guy that can explain it for you in a way that you can understand, and I know a guy that I trust and you can trust too. That's Paul Winkler and Paul Winkler Inc. They've been doing this for a long time, and Paul's team is equipped to give you the knowledge you need to make the right decisions for your financial future. Paul actually started his career after spending time studying under an economist who went on to win a Nobel Prize. That's how he got his feet wet in the industry. That's how he's going to help you. Paul also wants to make sure that I get paid to do these commercials. He wants to start it off with that transparency. I like that. That's just another reason you can trust Paul. You can also trust his team because they do nothing on commission. Set up a 15-minute phone call today online. Go to paulwinkler.com. That's paulwinkler.com.
Up ahead here in the news, Israel takes stock of damages after Iran's missile barrage, and hundreds of retired generals and admirals announce who they endorse for president. Those stories coming up at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. It's 9:26 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, Instagram, at Chris Hand on air. What is your instant reaction to the debate? 615-737-9986. Steve in the borough, your thoughts on what we witnessed last night?
Thanks for having me on. Secondly, Vance clearly won the debate. I think he did a great job. He was articulate, polished. He had a message that he wanted to come in there and deliver. I think he delivered it extremely well. I think Waltz, I don't know that he did any harm. I always got this impression that he had 3 minutes worth of stuff to say, but he only had 2 minutes to say it. You know what I mean? He seemed like somebody had way too much in his head and he couldn't just sort of narrow it down.
Really?
So,
Tim Walsh, you got that impression?
Yeah, right.
Well, because I kept looking up. Every time they would go back to the moderators, they would have the countdown clock behind them, and Walsh kept leaving time on the clock.
Yeah, I did. But what I'm saying is I got the impression he just had so many words in his head and he just couldn't figure out a way to get them all sorted out and narrowed it down. Now, admittedly, I didn't watch the last 30 minutes. I think I only watched the first out. Was it 90? Was it 90
Yeah, it was
minutes?
90 minutes. Yep.
Yeah, I didn't watch the last 30 minutes. But secondly, there's two other things I want to point out, and I don't really hear anybody talking about them, although this is my impression from Twitter. And admittedly, Twitter's algorithm-driven, right? So that's not the world. That's the world as
Right.
Twitter presents it to me based on my likes and dislikes and who I follow and who I don't. But I'm seeing two consistent things, and I want to talk about this in a minute. One is that overwhelmingly Vance won it, right?
Yep.
I'm not seeing anybody, not CNN. I don't know what Dan was talking about this morning. Nobody was saying it was a draw. I haven't seen it. But secondly, and this is almost overshadowing to some degree what Vance was able to do, to a man, everybody was saying, man, it was so nice to hear two intelligent people speak on the issues. They were cordial to each other. They were polite. They were professional. It's like I'm hearing that a lot, and people are saying, wow, how refreshing was that? You know, these are two guys that are really better than their bosses and that sort of thing. So here's my point of bringing that up. What's going to be fascinating to me, and I have my own predictions here, is how is Trump going to react to what he will perceive as being upstaged by his veep? And I offer you as evidence. Now, I haven't looked at it as of maybe 2 hours ago, but as of this morning, Trump's Twitter had nothing about Vance. It was stuff about himself, Pete Rose, and everybody's talking about Vance today, talking about Vance's future and, what a great job he did. And whether you love Trump or hate him, I think we can all agree, he likes to be the number one guy. He does not like to play second fiddle to anybody.
No, I hear where you're at.
See how he reacts.
And Trump is definitely leaning into the memes on Truth Social. I will push back a little bit, though. Immediately after the debate, Trump posted on Truth, JD crushed it. Waltz was a low IQ disaster, very much like Kamala. Our country would never be able to recover from an administration of these two. Can you imagine them representing us with sharp, fierce foreign leaders? I can't. So, I mean, his initial reaction was JD crushed it.
But you see what I'm saying, though? It's going to be interesting the next few days to see how does the Trump campaign, lean into Vance and say, wow, this guy's doing great. Let's go pick up some votes in swing states. Let's go get some undecideds.
I mean, I think it's gonna be business as usual, and I appreciate the call. I mean, Vance has been on the campaign trail in critical swing states nonstop. Vance has been on every news network that will take him nonstop. Even after the debate, they shook hands. Vance fled the stage and was immediately in the spin room on news stations, bringing his message once again to the people. Waltz was standing there with his fingers locked at his podium, looking like a lost kid waiting for his parents to pick him up. These two are not the same, and it was on full display last night. We'll take more of your calls and your reaction to the debate, plus play you some more highlights on the way. It's 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 9:30 now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Our temps are warming up today. We'll get near 80 degrees. Stick around. The forecast is on the way. Israel is assessing the damage of yesterday's strikes from Iran. Many of the 181 ballistic missiles into Israel were intercepted by the Iron Dome defense system. Some of them were knocked out of the sky by 2 U.S. Navy destroyers. A few, though, were able to hit some targets on the ground.
The Israeli military is going to present the government with a menu of options, and I'm told is very, very likely to include attacking Iranian military installations, but also possibly its energy sector. It really depends on how far the Israeli government wants to take this. And a reprisal might not be immediate. We're in the midst of the Jewish New Year, the biggest holiday of the year here, and the Israeli government is going to want to consult with the U.S. government before taking action.
That's ABC's Matt Gutman. The Rutherford County School Board has just given students something to think about before making a threat against their school. A resolution passed yesterday urging the district attorney to criminally prosecute students who make mass threats. And that could lead to jail time and a loss of their driver's licenses. School board member Tammy Sharp.
This is worse than anything that anybody can imagine with everyone dealing with it on a daily basis. We have to have some more teeth in these laws to put these children either in our virtual school or they need to be out.
Recently, Oakland High School received almost 20 threats, and there was an incident where one student stabbed another. President Trump has gotten the endorsement of more than 200 retired U.S. generals and admirals. In a letter, Flag Officers for America posted saying that the election presents a choice between standing for our Constitution and traditional values, which have made America great, or the current administration's push into the deadly abyss of socialism and authoritarian cultural Marxism. That's the latest news. Weather still to come. Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. It's 9:33 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Chris Hand here for my friends at the Glock store. I want to give a big thanks to the Glock store guys again for coming out last night to our debate watch party. They brought the heat, giving away free range lessons and a brand new Glock 43X. They're going to be announcing the winner today during Murphy's show, so make sure you're listening for that. I know you want to win it. And if you weren't there, you didn't have a chance to enter, you can still win big at the Glock store. These guys are your best place to buy a Glock. Every Glock is in stock. It's the best place to learn. Every session is a private lesson. It's the best place to shoot. It's where I do all of my shooting because they have private rooms, not public lanes, and you get a private instructor to do it and learn with. It's unbelievable. And it's also the best place to throw a party. Birthday, retirement, any kind of celebration you want to throw, do it at the Glock store. And to get it started, all you have to do is pick up the phone and give them a call. 615-682-6565. 615-682-6565. If you need a place to buy, learn, or party, do it at the Glock store. Minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
If you want to improve your shooting, you got to get away from lanes. This is Shoot 270, located inside the Glock store. I invite you to come down and check us out. I know you're going to love the shooting range and you're going to love the retail store. See you there.
It's the audacity. I agree with you that we're in year 9 and no one knows how to cover the audacity. The audacity is that someone should have said, stop it, stop. Are you effing kidding me? And they should have dropped that F-bomb, right? I mean, they should have just, this is a debate. This may be the only chance people have to see the difference.
That's Nicole Wallace on MSNBC having a bit of a meltdown. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Nicole wanted the moderators to be more involved. In fact, she actually thinks that the moderators should have cursed at J.D. Vance. These people are unhinged.
It's the audacity. I agree with you that we're in year 9 and no one knows how to cover the audacity. The audacity is that someone should have said, stop it, stop. Are you effing kidding me? And they should have dropped that F-bomb, right?
Okay. All right. I mean, that's a take. You know, I thought there was 3-on-1 the entire night. I did. It just Vance just wasn't fazed by it one bit. He wasn't fazed. And at one point, they're talking about the border policies, and they cut JD's mic. Now, the Kamala HQ Twitter account, that's their Twitter account. They posted a meme, and it's just a visual meme. It's just a JPEG, if you will, and it's got the captions, and it has JD's face. He says, "The rules were you guys weren't going to fact check," but they didn't put the actual clip out there because JD explains what he means in the clip. They're talking about the Haitian migrants in Ohio. And JD nails this. He's so right here. How Kamala Harris waved a magic wand and made inadmissible aliens temporarily protected. CBS didn't want to have that conversation.
Very protected status.
Well, Margaret, but
thank you, Senator. We have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important
we're
because
going to turn out of the economy.
Debate, Margaret, the rules were that you guys weren't going to fact check, and since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on. So there's an application called the CBP One app, where you can go on as an illegal migrant, apply for asylum or apply for parole, and be granted legal status at the wave of a Kamala Harris open border wand. That is not a person coming in, applying for a green card and waiting for 10 years. That is the facilitation of illegal immigration, Margaret, by our own leadership.
Thank you, Senator, for describing the legal process. We have so much to get to, Senator.
Those laws have been on the books since 1990.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The CBP One app has not been on the books since 1990. It's something that Kamala Harris created, Margaret.
Gentlemen, the audience can't hear you because your mics are cut. We have so much we want to get to. Thank you for explaining the legal process.
I love how they round that out. Thank you for explaining the legal process. Again, this is a new legal process that they created with the wave of a magic wand, and they're flying migrants that wouldn't have otherwise been admissible into the United States because of this app, because of the temporary protected status. That's what happened in Springfield, Ohio. You have all these Haitian migrants coming in. They would be inadmissible under any other circumstances. CBS cuts the mic of J.D. Vance. They just cut the mic. He was absolutely right, and he was right about the border policies the entire time. The entire time. This is one thing that the administration can't run away from. This crisis at the southern border. And JD just breaks it down step by step by step. And I haven't seen the overnight ratings. Mason, try and find the overnight ratings on that debate. But I imagine for a lot of people, hearing it this clearly and laid out this concisely is eye-opening.
Senator Vance, your campaign is pledging to carry out the largest mass deportation plan in American history and to use the U.S. military to do so. Could you be more specific about exactly how this will work? For example, would you deport parents who have entered the U.S. illegally and separate them from any of their children who were born on U.S. soil?
I love that they set it up in such an emotional way. Oh, you're going to separate kids from their parents. I leaned over to the guy next to me and I was like, well, let's deport the kids too. You know, let's just, I don't like the anchor baby stuff. I really don't. I think it's just a joke. It's a joke. It wouldn't work anywhere else in the world. Why should it be working here? But JD doesn't take the bait. He just puts on a master class about the missing kids at the border under Kamala Harris and Joe Biden?
You have 2 minutes.
So first of all, Margaret, before we talk about deportations, we have to stop the bleeding. We have a historic immigration crisis because Kamala Harris started and said that she wanted to undo all of Donald Trump's border policies. 94 executive orders suspending deportations, decriminalizing illegal aliens, massively increasing the asylum fraud that exists in our system. That has opened the floodgates. And what it's meant is that a lot of fentanyl is coming into our country. I had a mother who struggled with opioid addiction and has gotten clean. I don't want people who are struggling with addiction to be deprived of their second chance because Kamala Harris let in fentanyl into our communities at record levels. So you've got to stop the bleeding. You've got to re-implement Donald Trump's border policies, build the wall, re-implement deportations. And that gets me to your point, Margaret, about what do we actually do? So we've got 25 million illegal aliens who are here in the country. What do we do with them? I think the first thing that we do is we start with the criminal migrants. About 1 million of those people have committed some form of crime in addition to crossing the border illegally. I think you start with deportations on those folks. And then I think you make it harder for illegal aliens to undercut the wages of American workers. A lot of people will go home if they can't work for less than minimum wage in our own country. And by the way, that'll be really good for our workers who just want to earn a fair wage for doing a good day's work. And the final point, Margaret, is you ask about family separation. Right now in this country, Margaret, we have 320,000 children that the Department of Homeland Security has effectively lost. Some of them have been sex trafficked. Some of them hopefully are at homes with their families. Some of them have been used as drug trafficking mules. The real family separation policy in this country is unfortunately Kamala Harris's wide open southern border. And I'd ask my fellow Americans to remember when she came into office, she said she was going to do this. Real leadership would be saying, you know what, I screwed up. We're going to go back to Donald Trump's border policies. I wish that she would do that. It would be good for all of us.
No, yeah, it would be, but that's what real leadership would do, admit that they screwed something up. I don't think the Biden-Harris administration have admitted that they've screwed anything up this entire 3.5 years. Everything's been great until they admitted it wasn't, and then it became Trump's fault, right? Unbelievable. 615-737-9986 if you want to join the conversation. Jeff in Hendersonville, your thoughts on last night's debate.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, you stole a lot of my thunder, but also your previous caller nailed it too. I will just add this. I mean, specifically on the border issue, I'm from Southern California. Good buddy of mine, his office is right by Dairy Mart Road. Anybody from San Diego knows that. It's maybe about 800 yards from the actual border crossing, and there's a transportation center there. It's a bus depot. It's called the Iris Transportation Center, and my buddy calls me daily and says, dude, there literally are, and this is like at 4:30 in the morning when he gets to work, there are thousands of people lined up. They're all men. He goes, then everybody's gone by lunch, and then at 4 p.m. again, buses and taxis are lined up, and it's full again. This has been going on for years. And so just a couple things on the debate. It's interesting. Vance absolutely nailed that with 320,000 missing children that are sex trafficked, labor trafficking. Where are they? And it was great that he did that. But to me, it's amazing when you talk to anybody on the left, they literally go blank. You cannot have a conversation on this. They don't accept that this happened. I even had a neighbor who is a Democrat tell me, "Oh, those numbers are fake."
Yeah.
Oh, it's. I mean, literally, you're like, "Whoa!" And it falls with their adage, which is you tell a lie enough times it becomes true, right? But you can't ignore the humanitarian, economic, social, drug, all of the deadly implications of just this one major issue. And I will say also, too, now maybe I missed it. Maybe I bugged out and got a beer or something, but I don't remember Ukraine being discussed. And, hey, just in the last week, it's been almost another $9 billion that we've given Zelensky.
Yep. You're absolutely right. $9 billion for Ukraine, zero help for the residents of America that need it, after Hurricane Helene. It's like the response that we give to Ukraine versus the response we have for our own citizens is just disproportionate at best. I think that's the nicest way to put it. Disproportionate.
It's a crime.
Yeah.
This is a crime. Zelensky. What is Zelensky doing? What's a foreign leader doing? Begging for money again, standing at a podium with with the U.S. emblem on it, with Kamala Harris. Give me what is this? And yet, I mean, Maui, as far as I know, Lahaina still hasn't even been rebuilt. Has it? Maybe I'm wrong.
And
but
those citizens only got like a $700 check from the federal government. Good luck.
It's criminal.
Yep.
It's criminal. Anyway, thanks for listening.
Hey, appreciate the
JD
call,
nailed
Jeff.
It. JD nailed it.
Yep, I appreciate the call. Let's go to Gary on the road. Gary, we got about a minute and a half. What's up, man?
Real quick, all I want to say is this. I see literally 3 administrations of prosperity and security. Trump and J.D. Vance.
Yep.
That's a good 12 years.
No, I hear you, man. And I think JD absolutely made the case last night that he's going to be the guy for 2028. I still think he's got to earn it, but I think he can after that debate performance.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, of course, I spent 4 years in the Marines. It takes a Marine to go to a fight and do it well, get it done, and you don't have time to worry about what fails. You think about what's going to work, and you do it.
Yeah.
And that's who he is.
You're absolutely.
He's not going to sit there and talk a problem to death. He's going to clean the clock on the problem, and everybody's in.
Yep, you're absolutely right, Gary. Thanks for your service and thanks for the call. It's 9:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We got more calls on the way, 615-737-9986. But real quick, grab a pen because you're going to want to take this number down. If you have health insurance or if you don't have health insurance but you want health insurance at a reasonable price, call my friends at Cover Nash. Shane Ring will set you up, 615-465-0023. Now, again, whether you own a small business, your insurance is too expensive, you're underinsured, you're not insured, call Shane Ring at Cover Nash. The experts over there have 20 years of experience, and he can provide you sound advice for your health insurance needs. Now, their plans, if you qualify, will let you pick your own doctor, and they're 30 to 60% lower in cost than Obamacare. The monthly premiums are independent of your income, so there's going to be no surprise tax bill. If you're paying for your own health insurance, if you got a small business, if you're uninsured on COBRA, or if your employer coverage is just too expensive, call Shane right now, 615-465-0023. Shane's a good guy. He's going to take care of you, 615-465-0023, or you can hit up the website, covernash.com, and fill out a quote form. That's covernash.com, a quality plan managed by you, not the government.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Coming up in the news, we'll tell you who Israel says is persona non grata in their country. Also, a new development that makes it feel like George Jetson is coming to life. Those stories at 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. It's 9:57 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. So one of the things J.D. Vance did last night that was so well, that he did so well, was just be nice. He didn't attack Walz personally. He occasionally would say, "Yeah, I agree with you," or I think he got that right there. But here's what I would do differently. It was actually a really cool contrast to what we've seen in past debates. He did it here on the border. He said to Tim Walz, "Listen, I think you want to solve the problem. I just don't think Kamala Harris does."
A minute.
Look, Margaret, first of all, the gross majority of what we need to do at the southern border is just empowering law enforcement to do their job. I've been to the southern border more than our borders are. Kamala Harris has been. And it's actually heartbreaking because the Border Patrol agents, they just want to be empowered to do their job. Of course, additional resources would help. But most of this is about the president and the vice president empowering our law enforcement to say, if you try to come across the border illegally, you've got to stay in Mexico. You've got to go back through proper channels. Now, Governor Walz brought up the community of Springfield, and he's very worried about the things that I've said in Springfield. Look, in Springfield, Ohio, and in communities all across this country, you've got schools that are overwhelmed. You've got hospitals that are overwhelmed. You have got housing that is totally unaffordable because we brought in millions of illegal immigrants to compete with Americans for scarce homes. The people that I'm most worried about in Springfield, Ohio, are the American citizens who have had their lives destroyed by Kamala Harris's open border. It is a disgrace, Tim. And I actually I agree with you. I think you want to solve this problem, but I don't think that Kamala Harris does.
Nails it. Absolutely nails it. And he's talking about Springfield, Ohio there, but you can talk about any community where illegals have been dropped off. I mean, we can talk about the illegal aliens and what they're doing in Washington County, Tennessee, where they're looting buildings post-hurricane. Nothing good is really coming of the migrant invasion that Kamala Harris has been facilitating. But I thought that line was so powerful. Listen, Tim, I think you do want to solve it, but I don't think that Kamala Harris does. Home run right there. J.D. Vance hit tons of home runs last night, dominating that debate performance. But one of the moments that went the most viral was when Tim Walz got called out on a lie. I don't think that he expected to be called out on this lie, especially by the friendly moderators over there at CBS, where you CBS. Tiananmen Square, Hong Kong, were you there? We'll bring you Tim Walz's answer next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 10 o'clock here, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We're stuck at 64 degrees with some overcast skies, but we're heading up to about 77 degrees later. The forecast is still to come. Israel is vowing to retaliate after yesterday's missile assault by Iran. Many believe that the region is even closer to an all-out war.
The key issue here is how does Israel respond? Does it calibrate its response, which it did after the last Iranian assault on Israel back in April? It was a single attack. It was basically to send a message that, yes, we've responded, everyone's retaliated, no real damage, and it's not going to escalate further. There's real danger here. We keep talking about the dangers of escalation in this conflict. Well, it's already escalated.
That's ABC's Ian Pannell. Meantime, Israel has announced that it's banning the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres from entering Israel. Israel Katz, the foreign minister of the Jewish state, wrote on X, quote, anyone who cannot unequivocally condemn Iran's heinous attack on Israel, as almost every country in the world has done, does not deserve to step foot on Israeli soil. One thing that is clear, the escalation is causing gasoline prices to rise. Oil prices climbed more than 3% yesterday as the missiles were falling. And it could mean drivers would see an increase of 10 to 15 cents a gallon at the gas pump. And experts say further escalation could send prices even higher. Gas Buddy says that the average Nashville price is at $2.45 a gallon today. New crime statistics out, and they show reports of rape being on the rise in the spring, and they've increased nearly 24% compared to the end of September last year, with close to 500 complaints filed in the Nashville and Davidson County area. Also notable, a sizable increase in homicides in August and September in Nashville. Despite that, the homicide rate remains 2.6% lower than it was this time last year. Well, it feels like George Jetson coming to life. A big car company is making an investment into flying cars.
Toyota says it's going to invest $500 million into the flying taxi startup Joby Aviation. The automaker says it's aimed at helping the startup certify and produce electric flying taxis. And it's just the latest in several high-dollar investments Toyota has made in Joby, nearly $900 million in total.
ABC's Mike Dubosky. These are called eVTOLs. That stands for Electric Vertical Takeoff and Landing Vehicles. So amazing. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
10:05 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? I'm Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, Instagram, at Chris Hand on air. Hit the follow button. I'll follow back. You can listen to the show wherever you go on the TuneIn app, the iHeartRadio app, the 99.7 WTN app. Podcasts are always available after the show on Spotify, Apple, and the 99.7 WTN app. And you can watch us on Super Talk TV. Hello, how are you? On Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. I think I did all the things. That's all the things. Tim Walz. He's claimed to be in Hong Kong during the Tiananmen Square massacre. That was breaking just before the debate. Vice presidential candidate Tim Walz previously claiming that he was in Hong Kong during the Tiananmen Square massacre. But it turned out not to be true. I know. Tim Walz lying? What? Weird. So weird. Lying. It is. It's such a shocker. He was actually, in fact, at home in Nebraska during Tiananmen Square. According to the Washington Beacon, Walz's claim made during a 2014 congressional hearing was false. In that hearing, he spoke about the Tiananmen Square massacre, saying, "I was just going to teach high school in Foshan in Guangdong and was in Hong Kong in May of '89. He wanted to say that as the events were unfolding, several of us went in. And I still remember that train station in Hong Kong." So this lie's been going on for about a decade. No big deal. Walz continued in that statement in 2014 saying, "There was a large number of, especially European, I think, very angry that we would still go after what had happened. But it was my belief at that time that the diplomacy was going to happen on many levels." And he continued saying that he was able to teach in Hong Kong throughout the summertime, adding, "The opportunity to teach a Chinese high school at that critical time seemed to me to be really important, and it was a very interesting summer, to say the least." Walz added that he remembered the news blackouts that occurred in the country after the massacre, as well as when the Berlin Wall fell later in November. So the Tiananmen Square massacre took place June 4th, 1989. It was a reaction to student protests in China that began in April of that year, went to June of '89 when they were stopped by the brutal force of the communist regime. But there were reports during May of '89 that placed Walz back in the United States. And there's actually a picture of him in a National Guard storage room in Alliance, Nebraska, dated May 16th, 1989. And according to the reports at the time, Walz did not leave the U.S. until August of that year. So he lied, and he got busted. Now, during the debate, shockingly enough, the moderators asked him about this. They brought it up. Tim was shocked, to say the least.
You said you were in Hong Kong during the deadly Tiananmen Square protests in the spring of 1989. But Minnesota Public Radio and other media outlets are reporting that you actually didn't travel to Asia until August of that year. Can you explain that discrepancy?
Yeah. Now, for the next minute and a half, he is not going to explain the discrepancy. He's going to try and get away from that discrepancy as best he can.
Well, and to the folks out there who didn't get at the top of this, look, I grew up in small rural Nebraska, town of 400, town that you rode your bike with your buddies till the streetlights come on, and I'm proud of that service. I joined the National Guard at 17, worked on family farms, and then I used...
Do you hear him bouncing around? I rode around with my buddies with our bikes till the streetlights came on. Proud of that service. And then I joined the National Guard and worked on family farms. You can hear his nerves just retracting in real time. He doesn't know how to get out of this.
This is the GI Bill to become a teacher, passionate about it, a young teacher. My first year out, I got the opportunity in the summer of '89 to travel to China. 35 years ago, be able to do that. I came back home and then started a program to take young people there. We would take basketball teams, we would take baseball teams, we would take dancers, and we would go back and forth to China. The issue for that was to try and learn. Now, look, my community knows who I am. They saw where I was at. Look, I will be the first to tell you, I have poured my heart into my community. I've tried to do the best I can, but I've not been perfect, and I'm a knucklehead at times. But
it's a weird flex. I'm not perfect, and I'm a knucklehead at times. Now, but Tim, you're going to be a heartbeat away from the presidency. And with all this misspeaking and misremembering, I don't think this guy's qualified.
can, but I've not been perfect, and I'm a knucklehead at times, but it's always been about that. Those same people elected me to Congress for 12 years. And in Congress, I was one of the most bipartisan people, working on things like farm bills that we got done, working on veterans benefits. And then the people of Minnesota were able to elect me to governor twice. So look, my commitment has been from the beginning to make sure that I'm there for the people, to make sure that I get this right. I will say more than anything, many times I will talk a lot. I will get caught up in the rhetoric. But being there, the impact it made, the difference it made in my life, I learned a lot about China. I hear the critiques of this. I would make the case that Donald Trump should have come on one of those trips with us. I guarantee you he wouldn't be praising Xi Jinping about COVID. And I guarantee you he wouldn't start a trade war that he ends up losing. So this is about trying to understand the world. It's about trying to do the best you can for your community. And then it's putting yourself out there and letting your folks understand what it is. My commitment, whether it be through teaching, which I was good at, or whether it was being a good soldier or was being a good member of Congress, those are the things that I think are the values that people care about.
Oh, but except, the question was about the lie that you said you were there during the protests, and you weren't. He really did a good job running around. You can see the fear in his eyes. The guy was sweating bullets. And, to his dismay, the moderators brought back up the original question.
Governor, just to follow up on that, the question was, can you explain the discrepancy?
All I said on this was I got there that summer and misspoke on this. So I will just, that's what I've said. So I was in Hong Kong and China during the democracy protests went in. And from that, I learned a lot of what needed to be in governance.
Awkward and cringy at best. And he closes by saying he learned a lot about what needed to be in governance. What the hell was that?
I'm just reading the super text line, and I love what they're saying. It's at 3475 said, every time he says, look, he's starting another lie.
Yeah, right?
And then Monica said, a great nickname is Tomokio Walls.
Tomokio Walls.
Because everything's a lie. His nose just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Our friend Renee on the text line said, I actually felt bad for Tim last night on a human level, not political. He was clearly embarrassed and very anxious, sweating bullets. It's hard to watch people in a tough situation on the verge of tears. He doesn't have the gumption for VP. Renee nails it. I felt a little bit bad, too. He's in over his head. I made the point last night during our live broadcast, Barack Obama, he needed to make sure that he had a VP that wouldn't outshine him. Joe Biden learned from that. And he needed to make sure he didn't have a VP that outshined him. And then Kamala Harris clearly has learned from that and needed to make sure she wouldn't have a VP that would outshine her. Well, you hit a home run with Tim Walz.
It almost seems like he just joined for the chocolate bar he was offered initially and didn't realize there's a lot more that he took a bite of than he thought.
I wish that the moderators would have said to him right at the end, I learned a lot about governance. What did you learn about governance in communist China? What were your big takeaways? They didn't press him on it. So he lies a lot, and he learns from those lies about governing. What? It doesn't make any sense. I'm glad that they called him on this lie. He was downright shocked that they even brought it up. 615-737-9986 if you want to join this conversation. Stephen in Paris, thank you for holding, sir. I appreciate it. Your thoughts on the debate?
Yes, sir. Hey, Chris, thanks for taking my call, dude. Hey, I want to comment on both of those guys. First, let me comment on Vance. A huge sigh of relief went over the nation after his performance. I think he was great, man, which is really important. I think he's going to pull a bunch of undecided voters back over to the Republican side with that. He was just really easy to connect with. I could really understand, we was just like eye to eye. And I was like, wow, great job, man. All that stuff they were throwing at him just bounced right off, and he did great. On the other hand, he did great. On the other hand, Walz, man, he was like a burnout used car salesman trying to sell the last lemon on the lot to you. He just didn't have anything really. It was like he was taking notes all night when Vance was speaking. He was looking around and jumping around, and it was like, yeah, take some notes, man, and this is what it's going to be. But the thing that I noticed with Walz was he kept bringing up the fact, he kept calling Trump, like saying that he is dehumanizing people. And the reason why he's using this as an excuse is because all Trump is doing is enforcing the constitutional law of our border. That's not dehumanizing people. There's a reason why we have a border law. And, you don't dehumanize people. If you want to point the finger at somebody who's dehumanizing people, try pointing the finger at yourself for putting tampons in little boys' bathrooms or letting a whole a chaotic crowd of people burn down a city that you're responsible for. So, it's just, it's not flying, man.
And I think it could have been a lot worse for Vance. I mean, for Walz last night, if Vance did bring some of that stuff up, I think he was trying to be as diplomatic as he could, trying to be as cordial as he could be. I think that was by design. But I was waiting for Stolen Valor to come up. I was waiting for the tampons in the bathroom to come up. I was waiting for the BLM riots to come up and the wife saying that she loved the smell of the tires. But Vance, it does seem like he strategically went in to go after Kamala and not Walz. And, strategically, that may have been the right move.
Yeah, and just real quick, another great point, I think, is that I think there's a few Republicans that, that are – I think he impressed a lot of the Republicans, and he's going to get a lot more pull from the Republican Party, and there's going to be a few rhinos that are kind of going to be – thinking about this now. So I think he just really upped his game 3 or 4 levels, which is a great thing.
I think you nailed that. I mean, even Charlie Kirk posted on X last night that he was getting calls from his Never Trumper friends saying that they really like Vance and they really felt reassured having a guy like that right behind Donald Trump. So I think you're absolutely right. Yeah, man.
2028, let's go.
Yeah, 2028 and beyond. I appreciate the call, Steve. Let's go to Judy in the borough. Miss Judy, what do you think about the debate?
Hi, Chris. My comment was about Vance. I started watching the debate at the beginning, and I was a little concerned at his very first response when he started giving his personal background. And I thought, oh, no, don't get caught into this trap of not answering the questions. And my only comment is, he really used that beautifully because he would use the beginning of his answer to make a comment about the topic, but then he would go on in the second half to answer that topic. Yeah. And that really was a good – people might not have listened to him had he answered first and then went on to explain.
No,
so that was good.
I thought, and I appreciate the call, Judy. I thought his opening statement was fantastic, and I made the point earlier in the show to open it up, at least for me, I'm 36, and I was hanging out with a lot of guys that were right in that age range. We were all talking. It's like, this is the first time we've had a politician that understands our American experience, my generation, the millennials out there, the parents who are dealing with addiction problems, the forever wars that our friends are going to fight in, or that our generation fought in. Vance gets that, and he gets that at a level that no other politician in D.C. does. I truly believe that. Or if they do get it, they don't talk about it with the same intimate knowledge that J.D. Vance does. I thought he was masterful last night. And at the same time, Walz was stumbling over himself and getting called out on his lies. Even NBC, they had a Kamala surrogate, Amy Klobuchar, on. And they asked her about Walz's lies. And they said point blank, does Governor Walz have a problem with the truth?
So the question was about comments he's made twice now about saying that he was in Hong Kong during the Tiananmen Square protest. He was not. He acknowledged that. But this is the 3rd or 4th time he said something that hasn't been true or it's been an exaggeration. Does Governor Walz have a problem with the truth? No.
Oh. I mean, it feels like he has a problem with the truth to me.
This was a mistake. He was there that year. It was a few months off. And of course, there was much discussion at that time about what happened in Tiananmen Square.
Oh, he just misspoke. He's just a knucklehead. That's who you want to be next in line. Not me. Not I. We'll take more of your calls on the way. Plus, I got a lot more clips from this debate. It's 10:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, and if you need a fence, I know a guy. Dave over at Kingdom Fence Company. They want to let their fence tell the story of your land. Now, no matter what you need, they got you covered from residential to commercial to farm and agriculture. They're going to make you a beautiful fence, no matter what kind you need. Chain link, privacy, vinyl, aluminum, dog fence, pool fence, board fence. They got it all. All you got to do is make the call. 615-390-5891. 615-390-5891. These guys put their faith in their business so you can put your faith in their fence. Kingdom Fence Company, LLC.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Up ahead here on Super Talk 99.7 in the news. A plastics manufacturing company in East Tennessee under fire now for what it did as Hurricane Helene was approaching. Also, 5 days after disaster struck the South, President Trump, President Biden, is taking a tour. Those stories coming up at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. It is 10:25 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. So, I've only been doing this for a little while now, since like July of 23, this talk radio thing. And quickly becoming one of my favorite things post-debate isn't just, getting analysis and reacting to these clips that we're getting that are going viral. But one of my favorite things is listening to the reaction from the mainstream media. And Man, if you want to hear some coping, you want to hear some seething, you want to mine for some salt, the mainstream media is ripe with this. NBC's Kristen Welker said she was getting text from Democrats panicked.
And so I was getting texts from Democrats panicked, quite frankly, who were saying, wow, he's really moderating himself on a lot of these issues. He's the most likable he has ever been.
Yeah. Panic. He's the most likable he's ever been. But will that translate? You know what I mean? Is that going to translate to votes? A lot of people say the VP debate doesn't mean anything. I think this one might mean a little bit more. I do. Because we only had one, Trump versus Kamala. We don't know anything about Kamala Walz's policies or plans. And I do. I think this one means a little bit more. CBS, actually, before the debate, they had a room where they had a couple voters that said they were going for Trump. A couple voters said they're for Harris. And they had a couple undecided voters as well.
Before the debate started, 2 of the voters said that they were going to vote for Trump. 2 said they would vote for Harris. 2 said they were undecided. But by the end of it, those 2 undecided said they would vote for Trump.
Did you hear that? By the end of that debate, undecided voters, according to CBS, on their little panel, they said they're going to vote for Trump. It's got to scare people a little bit, right? The media is in full-blown panic right now. CNN, they had a little ticker on their chyron, the little thing on the bottom of the screen that said virtual tie. Virtual tie. What?
They must be talking about a bow tie because there was no tie last night.
No tie whatsoever. This is funny to watch them kind of clean up what they were saying last night because that's what they're saying this morning. Virtual tie. But their instant reaction last night, the instant reaction was guys like John King, admittedly saying Republicans are happy and Democrats are now a bit nervous after that debate.
But at the beginning, the 2 issues driving the campaign right now are Harris has a big deficit on the economy, Harris has a big deficit on immigration, and Republicans were happy tonight and Democrats a little bit nervous that on those 2 issues, Vance carried it.
Doesn't sound like CNN in the immediate reaction of the debate thought it was a tie. They're on record saying Democrats are a little bit nervous. A little bit nervous. Nicole in Nolensville, your thoughts on the debate, my friend?
I think totally Vance carried it all the way, so I don't know what CNN is watching today. But I think you mentioned before how important this vice presidential debate was. Probably the first one ever to be that way because look at where we're at right now. Trump's had his life, they've tried to take his life twice. Who knows how many times that has happened? We've got Kamala running the White House. The vice president suddenly has gotten to be a very important position because they could be running the country.
Yeah, no,
this is a really, really important debate. I mean, look back to the Nixon years. We ended up with Spiro Agnew, and he ended up in jail. So we could have Tim Walz, you put the carrot in front of his head, he's going to end up in jail too if they were to get elected. This could be awful. I mean, this was a really, really important debate.
What are the people that you know saying about this? Are they in agreement with you? Do you have anybody in your life that is left leaning that was kind of swayed by this?
No, I don't have anybody right leaning in my life. That I know of, I guess. We don't talk about it if they are. So I mean, everybody I know thought we hit a home run last night. So
yeah. Me and you both. I appreciate the call, Nicole. Thanks so much. That's Nicole in Nolensville. Bobby, real quick, we got about a minute. Your thoughts on the debate?
I think Vance was like a Holyfield, Mike Tyson, and a Muhammad Ali all in one. He beat the crap out of him. He stuck to the point. He showed America that what Walz and Kalama wants to do is keep us divided, and Vance beat him up.
Yep.
I mean, he walked away with his hands held high, man.
Yep, you're absolutely right, Bobby.
I was excited to see, like I said, the dude a while ago, a little hope come back in to this daggum fight that we're in, and it's for America, man. Let's get that straight. It's all about America first, and then we can start helping people.
Amen. I'm with you. I think we need to get back to that, Bobby. I appreciate the call. Yeah, I mean, at a certain point during the debate last night, I leaned over to the guy and said, the guy standing next to me said, at what point does the DOJ indict J.D. Vance for just an assault on national TV. Because that's what it was. It's 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's now 10:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We're sitting at 70 degrees now, and we'll head up to about 77 later on. The full forecast is still to come. President Biden is set to visit North and South Carolina today for a firsthand look at the devastation from Hurricane Helene.
More than 160 deaths across 6 states are now blamed on the storm. Hundreds of people are unaccounted for. John Norwood was swept away by floodwater.
There was a 30-foot tall wall of water and rocks and tree debris just coming at us.
His fiancée is still missing.
She went one way and I went the other. The last thing I said to her was, "I love you." And that was the last time I saw her.
North Carolina leaders say President Biden has given the green light to mobilize active duty U.S. military units to help with long-term recovery efforts.
That's ABC's Rhiannon Alley. U.S. Senator Bill Haggerty touring hurricane-ravaged East Tennessee yesterday with U.S. Senator Marsha Blackburn, Governor Lee, and State Department heads assessing the damage and the response.
We're trying to move this water out as quickly as we can because there's another storm brewing in the Atlantic. If it takes the wrong turn and comes up here again, our ground's saturated, our water levels are high. We've got to be prepared to deal with that, and we are doing everything we can to be prepared for what may come next.
Governor Lee requesting an expedited major disaster declaration. A sad update from Unicoi County, where the families of 4 Mexican women who worked at a plastics manufacturing plant say their loved ones are confirmed dead. That's according to Channel 4. Now, some of the surviving employees are disputing the company's claim that everyone was told to go home once the floodwaters covered the parking lot at that plant.
I actually asked one of the higher ups, and they told me no, not yet, that they had to ask someone before we was able to leave, even though it was already above the doors and the cars and everything else.
That's Jacob Ingram, who also told WVLT television that they were told to stay even after the Impact Plastics plant lost power. He and several others were eventually rescued by helicopter. That's the latest news. Oh, I want to tell you one more thing. There's a crash on 40 westbound this morning. It's right before Charlotte Parkway. That's Highway 70, exit 201. And the right shoulder is now blocked. They're starting to clear that away. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. It's 10:33 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Ann, and I got to tell you once again about my friends at Cover Nash. My guy Shane Ring is going to take care of you no matter if you're self-employed, you own your own small business, or if you're just paying too much for your own health insurance. The guys at Cover Nash have large nationwide PPO networks, so it's time for you to stop paying for insurance that doesn't actually pay your bills and call my friends at Cover Nash. Shane and his family are Nashville natives. I mean, this guy went to school here, went to college here. He's a hometown favorite, and he's been doing this for over 20 years. He actually cares about his clients. That's how you stay in business for so long. That's what Shane does, and he educates every client every step of the way to use their health care correctly to save thousands and even tens of thousands of dollars. He'll show you how to shop for your healthcare services in less than 30 seconds from your cell phone, and then you get plans managed by you, not the government. It sounds good, right? Call Shane today, 615-465-0023, 615-465-0023, or you can hit the website covernash.com and fill out a quote form. That's covernash.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
.1037 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Man, Hurricane Helene. We've been talking about the debate a little bit. We'll get back into that in a little while. But Hurricane Helene and the aftermath, it has to be discussed. Rep. Chuck Edwards out of North Carolina. He represents a district in the western portion of the state that's just been battered. And he's detailing the infrastructure devastation. They're calling it a grid apocalypse. 360 substations down. Power restoration could take months. Months. Edwards said power outages remain widespread in western North Carolina as of Sunday. Fast forward to Wednesday morning, power outages and the U.S. map shows more than 400,000 residents are still without power in the region. He explained that 360 power substations are out, indicating that many of them were completely flooded and that Duke Energy, their power company out there, is unable to assess the damage until the flooding has lowered. The water's been pumped out and the equipment is thoroughly dried. This is going to take some time. Big time. Zero Hedge is reporting that what's piqued their interest is that Powering Up America theme to power AI data centers and other electrification trends, such as EVs and onshoring manufacturing, as outlined in the Next AI trade, has led to shortages and price increases in the transformer market. So it's going to be even more costly to get this stuff back up and running. Distribution transformers are a bedrock component of our energy infrastructure, National Renewable Energy Laboratory researcher Killian McKenna said, who was recently quoted by PV Magazine. McKenna said utilities needing to add or replace them are currently facing high prices and long wait times due to supply chain shortages. And this has the potential to affect energy accessibility, reliability, affordability, everything. Everything. So it's going to take months. It's going to cost more. Are you shocked? Are you shocked? I mean, the response to Hurricane Helene from the federal government has felt underwhelming at best. Robbie Starbuck was on with Dan Mandis this morning. Absolutely fantastic interview. Robbie is doing a lot down there, including bringing Starlink to a lot of these communities. Starlink is the satellite internet from Elon Musk. Robbie's doing great work. If you want to find out how to support Robbie and those guys down there with his plan, it's on our Facebook page at 99.7 WTN. Just search for that on Facebook. You'll find all the details. But it's just chaos. It's chaos. And meanwhile, one of the top goals from FEMA is equity. Equity. That's one of their top goals to respond to Hurricane Helene in the aftermath. FEMA's goal 1 is to instill equity as a foundation of emergency management. I mean, this is real. This is one of their goals. Almost 150 people dead. I think that number's rising. Thousands just out of their home, dispossessed. Millions without power because of this path of destruction through 6 states. And the Biden-Harris administration's FEMA has been revealed to be focused on equity as one of their top goals. Equity. That's from their own 2022 to 2026 strategic plan. It outlines 3 ambitious goals. The first is ensuring that equity is the focus of any catastrophe or emergency. The Category 4 storm may have left a wasteland along the southern Atlantic coast, but FEMA, the federal agency tasked with responding to disaster relief after a hurricane, is firmly focused on equity, so communities can address the increasing range and complexity of disasters within their diverse sphere. This is according to their own strategic plan. Wide-ranging and long-term, the goals defined in the plan respond to the changing landscape in which we find ourselves. With some activities in this plan can be quickly realized, some will require efforts through 2026, the plan states. The plan outlines 3 bold, ambitious goals to meet this challenge. These goals position FEMA to address the increasing range and complexity of disasters, support the diversity of communities we serve, and complement the nation's growing expectations of the emergency management community. Equity. Equity. That's a foundation of emergency management in 2024. Elon Musk responded to this saying, yeah, well, that's pretty much the entire U.S. government and what they're doing right now. FEMA lists its first goal as a desire to instill equity as a foundation of emergency management. The second, as a plan to lead the whole community in climate resilience. And the third being to promote and sustain a ready FEMA and a prepared nation. So you have counties in North Carolina just flooded. You have a town in Florida wiped off the map. You have Joe Biden being targeted with media criticism for being detached from the gravity of the problem, which he is. He wouldn't even answer questions. And as the Daily Caller noted, in August of 2023, FEMA was doing white supremacy workshops for its employees while over 1,000 Hawaiians were potential victims of the Maui wildfires. This is not what FEMA should be doing, right? Can we all agree on that? This is not what they should be doing. I mean, even Kamala Harris said herself in 2022 that disaster aid should be based on equity.
It is our lowest income communities and our communities of color that are most impacted by these extreme conditions and impacted by issues that are not of their own making. And so absolutely. And so we have to address this in a way that is about giving resources based on equity, understanding that we fight for equality, but we also need to fight for equity, understanding not everyone starts out at the same place. And if we want people to be in an equal place, sometimes we have to take into account those disparities.
Okay, so riddle me this. If an entire town has been wiped off the map, everybody's home has been just devastated, everyone doesn't have power, aren't we starting at the same place? Right? Like asking for a friend. Wouldn't that be the definition of starting at the same place? Your home got destroyed. My home got destroyed. Nobody has electricity. Nobody has internet. Nobody has food. Nobody has power. Like that we're at the same place. Kamala Harris wants to make sure that equity. You know, that's code. That's code for saying we're not going to help white folks, right? Like, you understand that. At least not first. At least not first. Unbelievable. Now, on the flip side, J.D. Vance was talking about Hurricane Helene last night at the debate, and he said what Americans want to hear. That just the citizens of our country will get put first again?
They need their government to do their job. And I commit that when Donald Trump is president again, the government will put the citizens of this country first when they suffer from a disaster.
We'll put the citizens of the country first when they suffer from a disaster. That's what we need. Instead of, billions upon billions to Ukraine for a war that none of us really care about or support or worry about in our day-to-day life, we'll send billions over there. And Joe Biden will go on the record and say, well, we've sent them everything we can send them. Again, I point to that interview with Robbie Starbuck and Dan Mandis this morning. Robbie Starbuck said he's provided more Starlink internet capability to those rural communities in North Carolina than the federal government. In 2023, the federal government canceled a Starlink contract with Elon Musk. They were going to provide internet to these rural communities, and they canceled it over politics. Now the federal government is essentially begging Elon to come back and help them. It's nice. It's nice. On the internet, the conversation has gone to conspiracy theories about why this hurricane happened, and they're interesting. I don't necessarily buy into them, but they're interesting to say the least, and every good conspiracy theory always has some kernels of truth. So the conspiracy theory goes like this. That area of western North Carolina is actually sitting on a massive lithium, a gold mine underneath them, lithium for batteries. And that the government manipulated the weather to flush those people out of that area so that way they could mine for lithium. And that contracts have already been handed out. I don't know if that's true. I think only time will tell if that's true, right? But that's the conversation on the internet. That's the level of distrust that people have for the federal government. That they'll say they probably controlled the weather to flood that area to get the lithium underneath the ground. Now, I wouldn't put anything evil past our federal government. And there's actually a bit of a grain of truth in that conspiracy theory, governments controlling the weather. Now, you probably think I'm crazy, but this has actually been happening since the Vietnam War. There was actually a U.S. military operation called Operation Popeye during the Vietnam War, where our military used a top-secret cloud seeding program to extend monsoon season in Vietnam during the Vietnam War. Now, what the U.S. Air Force did was they sprayed silver iodide and lead iodide particles into clouds to encourage rain. This program was taking place over North and South Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia from 67 to 72. And the result, they actually did extend monsoon season by an average of 30 to 45 days in the affected areas. It's interesting. It's interesting that these conspiracy theories aren't all the way out there. They're out there. I don't necessarily buy into them, but every good conspiracy theory has a kernel of truth, and I think that's where the kernel of truth comes from, of the government being able to manipulate the weather. Operation Popeye was the first known use of weather warfare in military history. It's fascinating. Do your own research. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one seeing these conspiracy theories online, but I've had a bunch of listeners send them to me. I don't necessarily buy into it. But every good conspiracy has a grain of truth. It's 10:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Listen, it's October. Oh my gosh, is it really October? Yes. Yes, it is. And before you know it, it's going to be cold outside. Have you gotten your heating system serviced yet? You really need to do it soon. Do it the best way, the Busy Bee way with my guys over at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. And while you're on the phone with them, scheduling that maintenance, sign up to become a Beehive Club member. You get so much value out of being a Beehive Club member. 3 annual tune-ups, 1 for your heating, 1 for your cooling, 1 for your plumbing, 10% discount on repairs, priority front-of-the-line service. That part's huge. When I had a problem with my AC over the summer, having them come to my home in less than an hour when I needed them because I'm a Beehive Club member was clutch. The Beehive Club membership also comes with a $100 annual accrued replacement credit with a maximum of $1,000. No overtime or holiday fees and exclusive Beehive member promotions. It pays in so many ways to sign up for the Beehive Club membership. For satisfaction guaranteed, call my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. They're your Rude Pro partner, 615-775-7833, 615-775-7833, online at busybeehvac.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Got some road work on the South Loop downtown. The off-ramp right lane is blocked. That is 40 westbound to southbound at 65, and it is causing quite the backup. Got the very latest from Iran's president. Some tough talk there at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken. It's 10:57 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, Instagram, at Chris Hand on air. I got a text here from 4210 talking about the debate. Said, hopefully your Dem buddy, Matt from Smyrna, calls so we can hear his take on the debate.
Please. That would be such a great conversation.
People love Matt from Smyrna. Matt, if you're listening, what'd you think of the debate? Call me. 615-737-9986. 4210 also went on to say, I think JD can change the minds of the Never-Trumpers. I agree with that. Charlie Kirk tweeted about that last night. Said, I'm getting texts, calls from Never-Trumpers saying, this guy's reassuring. He is. He had a lot of good answers. A lot of good answers. But one of the things that was probably the weirdest moments of the night when Tim Walz
I sat in that office.
Said he's become friends with school shooters. Did you catch that part?
Oh, no.
I sat in that office with those Sandy Hook parents. I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it. I sat in that office with those Sandy Hook parents. I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it.
What? I mean, obviously, he's misspeaking, right? He had an opportunity to clean it up later in the night. He was out getting pizza. The media was asking him questions, and he didn't answer them. I don't understand why.
Knucklehead.
Donald Trump sunk his teeth into that as quickly as he could. On Truth Social, he posted a Trump Vance 24 yard sign, and underneath it says, not friends with school shooters. He posted right after that. Did Tampon Tim say he has become friends with school shooters? He isn't even qualified to be governor, let alone vice president. Walz and Kamala do not have what it takes. Yeah, there was another comment that he made in there, which I thought was more telling than him saying, I become friends with school shooters. And this one I don't think got as much attention online as it should have. But it kind of gives you a bird's eye view into what their plans are if they win the White House.
And I think what we end up doing is we start looking for a scapegoat. Sometimes it just is the guns. It's just the guns. And there are things that you can do about it.
Yeah, like take them away, right? Yeah. And then he relayed a relatable story. Oh, his son had witnessed a shooting, to which J.D. Vance was like, wow, I'm sorry. I didn't know that happened. Well, fact checkers are out in full force talking about that story. And spoiler alert, it appears Tim Walz lied again. I'll bring you the latest on that when we get back. It's 11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
O'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And once again, we've got some road work backing things up on that South Loop westbound. The off-ramp to southbound 65. You've got the off-ramp right lane blocked due to that road work. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Tennessee Emergency Management Agency confirming 8 people have died related to flooding from Helene. 2 in Cocke County, 1 in Knox County, 1 in Johnson County, 3 in Unicoi County, 1 in Washington County, and the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency confirming Tuesday that a Greene County man had also died. The agency said the body of Boone McCrary of Greenville was found in the Nolichucky River on Tuesday. TEMA has not yet confirmed this is a weather-related death. A TEMA official said earlier Monday that more fatalities were unfortunately expected to come after reporting only 3 initially. President Biden goes to hard-hit Carolinas today to survey the impact of Hurricane Helene.
President Biden announced he has directed the Pentagon to deploy up to 1,000 active duty soldiers to reinforce the North Carolina National Guard. The president says in a statement these soldiers will speed up the delivery of life-saving supplies of food, water, and medicine to isolated communities in North Carolina, saying, quote, they have the manpower and logistical capabilities to get this vital job done and fast. The White House says the soldiers are based at Fort Liberty in North Carolina, and this deployment will start immediately. Service members available today.
Iran's president promises what he calls a far stronger response if it continues on the current course of military operations in Lebanon. That is, if Israel does. We get more from Tom Rivers at the Foreign Desk.
President Masoud Pezeshkian vows next time if Israel does something to disrupt his country's security, Iran will respond, and that response, he warns, will be far greater than what was demonstrated last night. On specifically Israel's Iron Dome aerial defense system, he mocks it, saying it's more fragile than glass.
Dock workers along the East Coast and the Gulf of Mexico remain on the picket line today, pressing their demands for job security and higher wages. Here's Jim Ryan.
The Port of New Orleans handled a record number of cargo containers coming and going in the quarter just ended. But instead of unloading South American coffee and Asian plywood today, longshoremen are on strike, demanding that automation not be added to the docks.
The truth is, robots do not pay taxes and they do not spend money in their communities.
Blaine Ehrlich heads the New Orleans chapter of the International Longshoremen's Association. Talks between the ILA and port operators continue, but with no sign of an agreement to end the walkout.
And here in Middle Tennessee, the Rutherford County School Board just gave students something to think about before making a threat against their school. A resolution passed yesterday urging the district attorney to criminally prosecute students who make mass threats, which could lead to jail time and a loss of their driver's license. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
11:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Totally drawing a blank on what I was going to cover here. What did I tease? I teased something, didn't I?
You did. Hold on.
It's got to be. It was something good, I think.
It's always something good with you, but
I mean, we were talking about the debate. Tim Walz saying sometimes it's just the guns. It's just the guns. It's always very cringy with these guys. That clip needs to be played over and over and over. They absolutely are talking about taking your guns. They've been on record about this many times. Kamala Harris saying she'd like to go into your home to make sure that you're storing it correctly, that she's okay with mandatory buybacks. She's a gun owner, but she also wants to ban assault weapons, whatever that is.
I'm sorry, she can hardly make it to the border. How is she going door to door to make sure we're storing our guns correctly?
And when she does go to the border, the guys that surround her, what do they have?
I don't think it's slingshots.
No.
I think it's guns.
Yep. But ABC's Lindsay Davis in the left-wing media, they weren't impressed last night with Tim Walz. Lindsay Davis actually said it kind of reminded her of Biden's performance.
Ooh.
I know.
Ooh.
And you know it pains her to say that because she's no fan of Trump and Vance. You give me a little audio? Thank you, sir.
It kind of reminded me of the June 27th debate when Kamala Harris that night said of Joe Biden, it was a slow start, but a strong finish. And that's how I felt that Tim Walz kind of did tonight. You know, to use Tim Walz's own words, I mean, a lot about this debate tonight was weird. There were uncomfortable, cringy moments. But overall, I think my takeaway was something that Reince Priebus said on the outset, which was that J.D. Vance needed to come away as that humble, likable guy from Hillbilly Elegy. It seemed like he did perhaps get some points in that.
Lindsay Davis, he kind of looked like Joe Biden. I didn't catch the strong finish that she's talking about. Did you catch a strong finish? I don't remember a strong finish from Joe Biden either. But that's Lindsay Davis, admitted Trump hater, sorority sister of Kamala Harris, and more. She's only going to go but so far, right? She can't go too far. On the Tim Walz bashing. She just can't. But Dana Bash and Abby Phillips on CNN, they called everything cringy, especially that moment where Tim Walz was confronted about his lies on Tiananmen Square. This is that lie.
What I think isn't as relevant as what I was hearing from Democrats who were kind of doing it, whatever you do to cringe over a text, they were not thrilled about that answer. It was very cringy.
It was very cringy, and I remembered what I was going to say. So last night at the debate, Tim Walz said that his son had witnessed a shooting. And, Tim, he can't go too long without lying. It's been kind of proven that was a lie as well. J.D. Vance handled that moment epically, by the way. Looking right at him and saying, man, I didn't know that, Tim, and I'm so sorry that your son had to deal with that. Just a real human moment, a parenting moment, and we all get that. But Tim Walz said, look, I got a 17-year-old, and he witnessed a shooting at a community center playing volleyball. Those things don't leave you. Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Tim. It's funny you mentioned that because police records show that the shooting occurred outside the rec center. Oh, so he was inside the rec center. There was a shooting outside the rec center. Okay, well, all right. Well, maybe he was like outside the window, right? Like he saw it out the window, and even that would be scarring. Would it not? I think we can all agree that would. A 17-year-old kid, you witness somebody get shot. I mean, that's tough. That's tough. Except that if you do a virtual tour of that rec center, the Jimmy Lee Rec Center in St. Paul, Minnesota, where he said that his son witnessed a shooting while playing volleyball, you do a virtual tour online, and there's something missing in the rec center that would allow you to see a shooting outside the rec center. Windows. Yeah. That makes it a little tough. The rec center doesn't have windows to the outside. So yet again, Tim Walz caught in another lie. You know, he said it himself. He's a knucklehead. He gets caught up in the rhetoric. What are you going to do? His son never witnessed a shooting. Never. Maybe you heard it, but those things are very different. Are they not? Very different. You could have phrased it more realistically, right? You could have. He didn't. But this is what we got from Tim Walz last night. Cringe and lies. Ari Fleischer was on Fox News right after the debate, and he made the point very clearly that we all understand. Tim Walz wasn't ready for this moment, and he's not ready to be vice president.
He hasn't taken interviews. He doesn't do interviews. So therefore, this is really his first exposure to prime time. And that's why I think you're right. She's not ready. He's not ready to be our president and vice president. And that's what this election's all about.
He's not ready. Kamala's not ready. Tim Walz is not ready. I think that's the nicest way to put it. It's the nicest way to put it. ABC's John Carl said Walz did seem unsteady, and frankly, he hasn't faced these kind of questions before. This is ABC.
You know, but first, David, I got to say, I think that Walz did seem unsteady. And frankly, what I saw in Walz is somebody who has not faced questions on a national stage since he became the Democratic nominee.
He's right. I mean, the guy looked like he was sweating bullets all night. Deer in the headlight look. He wasn't ready for that moment. He just wasn't. But on the flip side, J.D. Vance was.
He was simply out of practice. I mean, I don't know why they've done it, but they've kept him out of the limelight. They've kept him away from reporters. They haven't had him do any interviews. And he was clearly unsteady through much of that debate. And in contrast, J.D. Vance was very smooth. He took the arguments not to Walz. He was very respectful of Walz, took it to Kamala Harris.
And I think that was a great game plan by J.D. Vance. Don't worry about Walz. Who cares about Walz? Let's talk about Harris. And he did. But Walz wasn't ready. And Jonathan Carl says, I don't know why he hasn't done interviews. It's like, well, did you watch the debate? That's why.
You know, but first, David.
That is why. He's not ready for these moments, and he's probably going to lie. He's probably going to lie. Even Jen Psaki, after the debate, was calling out Harris and Walz in the campaign for avoiding the press and not being ready for this moment.
He's been absent. I think that's a huge mistake to hold him back and not put him out there.
Meaning he hasn't been on the media.
He hasn't been out in the media for a while. He's been absent. I do think that's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, missed opportunity. He should have been ready for this. On the flip side, J.D. Vance has taken every interview with hostile press since he became the nominee, the vice presidential nominee. He's been ready for it. Tim Walz was not ready for it. Pam in Nashville is one of our favorite independents that likes to call in. Pam, did this debate sway you at all?
Oh, Chris, you know I had to call in about this. I have problems with Trump, but let me tell you, J.D. Vance, I mean, if he's moved my needle a little bit more. And if it's moved me a little bit more, I can tell you right now there are a whole bunch of independents that watched that last night and go, oh. And I don't think it's not that Walz is not ready. Walz just can't do it, right? Oh, he can debate, but his debate is it's just horrible. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Chris, did you feel like every time you saw him that he needed maybe some laxative or something?
Oh, jeez.
Like he had this look on his face every time.
It sounded like the commercial we run where you hear the stomach gurgle and it goes, oh no.
Yeah. And it's like, oh my gosh, well, I got it right. And I'm thinking, get this man some laxative or some, milk of magnesia or something. He just looked, I don't know. He looked angry. I don't know. I really thought that he was going to come out super prepared him like they did his running mate. I thought it was going to be super. And so for the first couple of minutes, I went, really? This is all you got? And but one thing that and JD is very personable, right? And I don't think that's just because he's a politician. It's because he's lived the life that he's lived.
Exactly.
It's what he's been through. And I have been telling you, I said, I need somebody who's speaking to me. And last night I got it. I get it from Tulsi Gabbard. I get it from Bobby Kennedy, and I get it, Jr., and I get it from him. And, now that, Bobby Jr. and Tulsi has went on the train, but after last night, I'm telling you, I'm a little bit closer. I'm telling you, I'm like, I cannot believe that I'm going to say this out of my mouth. I'm going to have to go out and talk to Chris and let him know.
Pam, I've been telling you for months now, you're a Trump supporter. You just don't know it.
I'm not. No,
you are.
No, I'm not a Trump supporter.
You are.
There is one thing that really solidified for me. I had called into another talk show. Well, not say names because that's just impolite. And I was told
you cheating on me, Pam.
Listen, not you. That obviously I'm not listening, and I need to call back when I listen. And I'm like, well, no, you're not listening because what I needed because you got one extreme. Professor Durovich explains this beautifully. You get one extreme to the other extreme, right? We're going to let everybody in, or we're going to throw everybody out. And I have a problem with that. I have a real problem because you're not solving anything. But J.D. Vance gave a solution. First of all, he said, the criminals, then we'll do this. He gave a plan.
Yep.
And I like that. But the thing is, no matter who gets in, if Congress, if anybody cannot, this has been decades going on with immigration, policies that's been broken. I've got friends who seriously took 10 years and multiple thousand upon of money and jumping through hoops to be able to become citizens, their family. And I think the system is broken. So I think that I'm like with Elon Musk. I don't think everybody that came here is meant to do us harm. Do I think that people have come here to do us harm? Absolutely. Because they said, well, you know what? Hey, guess what? We can either get in through Canada or Mexico. Let's go. But J.D. Vance gave a plan, and I like the plan. It's not doesn't penalize, right?
Yep.
And I like that, and I wish that he would do that more. He would communicate that more when he goes on to his tours and stuff, because that's not being communicated. And maybe he just came up with a plan.
Can I tell you something, Pam?
What?
He was giving Donald Trump's plan.
Well, I haven't heard that from Trump. All I've heard is that we're going to load him up and get him out. You got
to listen. You got to listen a little bit more, Pam. Listen, by November 5th, you're going full MAGA, and I'm here for it.
Well, first of all, I will never go full MAGA.
I'll buy you a red hat.
Interest of this country, and you'll be the first one to know, and you will not say my name if that happens, because I'm not MAGA, but I do want what's best for this country based on my values and ethics of who I am.
You could almost say you want the country to be great again.
Well, I want the country to be happy again, and it's not happy.
Well,
it's not happy.
Come November 6th, we're all going to be happy, Pam. I appreciate the call. I really do. I think you're MAGA and you're MAGA and you don't know it, and I appreciate that. That's Pam, one of our favorite independents. She's voting Trump. Everybody understands that, right?
You gotta. After that conversation, after that debate last night, you gotta.
Pam's voting Trump. She doesn't want to admit it to herself yet, but she knows.
Welcome to the light side.
Welcome, Pam. It's 11:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Tough talk from Iran about Israel. Details at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It's 11:24 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. We're going over the reaction from the debate. Our friend Pam, a good independent. Are there good independents? Pam's all right. Pam's great. But Pam's voting for Trump, but she doesn't know it yet. She's almost there. And she said that the J.D. Vance debate last night swayed her. J.D. Vance's personality, she felt like he was speaking to her. And I've heard that take from a lot of people. Never Trumpers coming out of the woodwork saying essentially the same thing. Corey in the borough has a comment on Pam in that debate last night. What's up, Corey?
Not much, my friend. How are you today?
I'm good. What's up?
Good. I was going to say that my biggest problem with people like Pam or people or is that she couldn't say it even on the radio or out loud that, hey, I will vote for Trump when we all know she will. So
Yes.
It's like she believes there's no such thing as a hard decision. It might be a hard decision for some, as in I'm a never Trumper, but I'm still not a complete crazy person. So they definitely will be making a right decision for the country, but they can't say it out loud. And I just can't always trust people like that, to be honest with you, whether you're talking about politics or not. But I just don't. The people who think that it's not a hard decision to make is kind of delusional, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just so easy. It just seems like it's a layup drill. Do you want open borders and a crashed economy and wars all over the world, or do you want peace, stability, and an economic boom.
Right, and they just think it's only one way or the other, and then that they'll have a hard time making a decision when they know the results of the decision, and they make it seem like it's, having to execute somebody or having to pull somebody out of a burning building or something like that. It's not rocket science. It's very simple. You could say, hey, I'm not the biggest fan, but I'm not crazy or I'm not whatever. This is why I feel the way I feel. She could at least say, I will vote for Trump by now. And if she can't, it's all facade. It's all I'm on my high horse kind of talk. I just can't get behind that.
Yeah.
So, and anecdotally, you are number one with pest control. I've been
Yes. I've been looking to get the pest control audience. I appreciate you bringing that to the table.
Yes, sir.
Hey,
Yes,
thanks,
sir.
man.
And I do. As I was going to say, J.D. Vance definitely killed it. And his best moment was his first time speaking when he introduced himself. 100%. Everything else after that was gravy.
Yep, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I appreciate the call, Corey. And with Trump, it's like you're going to get peace. You're going to get no new wars. You're going to get a secure southern border. And then you're going to get an economic boom. Trump actually sat down with Dave Ramsey. He was doing a conversation with Dave Ramsey. This is dropping today. And, he's talking about that economic boom that he brought once before and how he's going to do it again.
Sort of a two-phase. Number one, I took taxes from 39% to 21%. You know that better than anyone. It's the largest tax cuts in the history of our country. And that was great. That's why we became so successful.
It's funny. You think we can do that again?
Yeah, I think we can go lower. And I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm bringing it from 21 to 15, but you have to manufacture your product here. And then you pay 15%. And then I'm going to put tariffs on countries so they can't come in and steal our business, so that our businesses now can be competitive. Not that, China came in and just stole all our furniture and many other industries, by the way, including steel. And I saved steel by putting 50% and 100% tariffs on all of the steel that they were dumping. But we're going to do, so in other words, this is a dream for you then. We're bringing the tax rate from 21. Remember, it was 39, and it was really 50 if you add state and local and all of the other things. So we're going to bring it down from 21 to 15. I got it down to 21, which everyone said was impossible, and got it approved by Congress. So it's, it's there. And we're going to bring that down to 15, but you have to make your product in the United States.
It's revolutionary, but it's so simple. Why hasn't anybody done this before? It seems like everybody's just been selling our country out. Donald Trump doesn't want to do that. He wants to bring it back here. And he wants to lower your energy costs. He wants to lower the price of energy by 50% in the first year. Come on. Who doesn't want to sign up for this? He says mean things and he hurts people's feelings. That's not an excuse when we're trying to save the country. It's just not. It's 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. On the way, you got to hear this bombshell story about the would-be first husband, Doug Harris, and the accusations that are being hurled against him today via the Daily Mail. It's insane, and I'll bring it to you next. It's 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$11:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We still got that traffic problem on the South Loop downtown going westbound. The off-ramp to 65 is down to one lane with the right lane blocked due to road work. Full forecast in 5 minutes. Right now in East Tennessee, Governor Lee just gave an update on Hurricane Helene recovery efforts.
This is a survivor-centric effort that we are making.
FEMA says it has counted at least 600 damaged or destroyed structures in the easternmost counties impacted by Helene. Northeast Tennessee Disaster Relief Center is coming, partnering with Bristol Motor Speedway. They're going to use their facility for a one-stop shop, if you will, where people can go to get what they need. Power is being restored. Cell phone outages in Carter County specifically persist. And officials say they're working with Elon Musk and Starlink to get internet service where it is still out. Meanwhile, in hard-hit North Carolina, President Biden announced he's directed the Pentagon to deploy up to 1,000 active duty soldiers to reinforce the North Carolina National Guard. The president says in a statement these soldiers will speed up the delivery of life-saving supplies of food, water, and medicine to isolated communities in North Carolina. Closing arguments today expected in Memphis in the federal trial of 3 police officers accused with beating Tyree Nichols to death last year. Attorneys for the 3 officers rested on Monday, and a judge spent yesterday poring over the jury instructions. ABC News legal contributor Brian Buckmeyer outlines the argument he believes the defense will highlight in their closing statement.
It's not just a question as to whether or not they harmed Tyree Nichols, but also the fact that they didn't provide medical care and also hid the information as to how he was harmed. And so I want to see how they try to address that, but I think the prosecution has a very strong case here.
Mideast wars, Iran's president says the next time it attacks Israel, it will be much stronger if Israel continues its operations against terrorist targets there in Lebanon. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. It's 11:32 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. If you've been paying attention to the weather and you had the rain coming last week and you notice that rain, that water is getting into your home, you might be thinking, what do I need to do now? And it's kind of dried up. So maybe you're thinking, I can kick the can down the road. Don't do that. Call my friends at United Structural Systems. See, this waterproofing issue could be something small that they could fix really easily, or you could ignore it and it could turn into a much larger problem. But you're not going to know until you talk to the pros. United Structural Systems have been doing this in Middle Tennessee since 1994. They have 25,000 satisfied customers to back them up. They are your experts when it comes to waterproofing. Walk around your house. Look for these red flags. Wet basement walls. Cracks in your basement floors. Water. Standing water in your crawl space. If you see any of those things, call USS immediately. They'll come to your home, create a custom solution for you, and they won't leave until the job is done and you are satisfied. 615-488-7855. 615-488-7855. United Structural Systems online at USSTN.com. 11:37 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. What do we know about Doug Emhoff? You know, first Doug. The second husband currently wants to be the first husband come 2025. What do we know about this guy? Not much. I mean, we know that he's lectured us on toxic masculinity. We know that he's been hailed for redefining masculinity. We also know that he impregnated his child's nanny. Yeah. We know that. But new claims are coming out about Kamala Harris's husband, Doug, and I want to know what you think about these claims. Hitting a woman. Did you have that on your bingo card? Doug Emhoff allegedly forcefully slapped his ex-girlfriend for flirting with another man. And he was accused of causing that nanny mistress's miscarriage during their affair. What? Daily Mail has this, and it's jaw-dropping. Vice President Kamala Harris's husband assaulted his ex-girlfriend. 3 friends have told DailyMail.com. Three friends.
Holy cow.
Is that insane?
That's wild.
Is that disqualifying for Kamala Harris? Like, you know what I mean? Like, just honestly.
Just by association.
What does that mean? It's a crazy story. You know, they always say, like, Trump is anti-woman. Oh, well, Kamala's married to a guy that was slapping up his girlfriend, allegedly. According to 3 of their friends, the second gentleman, Doug Emhoff, allegedly struck the woman in the face so hard she spun around.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Got to say allegedly.
Yeah, can't be.
Apparently, this happened in May of 2012 after the Cannes Film Festival event in France. They were waiting in a valet line for their car. One of her friends told DailyMail.com the woman called him immediately after the incident, sobbing in her cab, describing the alleged assault. Daily Mail's not naming the woman, who is currently a successful New York attorney, but will refer to her by the pseudonym Jane in this story. A second friend said Jane, who had been dating Emhoff for 3 months, also told her about the alleged violence at the time. And then, as a cherry on top, a third friend told DailyMail.com that Jane first told her in 2014 that she dated Doug Emhoff and recounted the full story of his alleged abuse in 2018, when then Senator Harris was in the news after grilling Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh in the Senate over sexual assault allegations. I can imagine what that conversation was like. Like, gosh, this is rich. She's dating a dude that's slapping women. The friends, who all asked not to be named for fear of retaliation by Emhoff, shared with DailyMail.com pictures of him and Jane together from 2012 and other documents and communications corroborating elements of the story. This is insane, right? That's insane. Jane has declined to comment. But the shocking claims follow revelations by DailyMail.com that Emhoff cheated on his first wife and mother of his 2 kids around 2008, allegedly impregnating his daughter's nanny, who also worked as her grade school teacher. Emhoff admitted to that affair with the nanny and teacher, Najeen Naylor, after DailyMail.com published the story last month. So this guy's cheating on his wife and slapping up girlfriends, and this is going to be the first husband? Possibly. It's insane. It's insane, right? This is an insane story. All 3 of Jane's friends, this is the woman that Emhoff allegedly slapped so hard that she spun around while waiting for their car in a valet line. All 3 of Jane's friends said she also told them about a disturbing alleged incident during her relationship with the second gentleman, in which he nonchalantly admitted to impregnating the nanny. Emhoff told Jane that the nanny accused him of causing her to have a miscarriage, the friends claimed. According to friends, Emhoff did not say how he was allegedly responsible for the miscarriage, and he told Jane that the nanny's claims were false. But the second gentleman allegedly confessed to Jane that he paid the nanny a settlement of around $80,000 and had the nanny sign a non-disclosure agreement. Insane. Insane. This is the same guy that the Democrats describe as a wife guy and a mensch, a Yiddish term for an honorable, kind man. He has also spoken out in media interviews about being an ally to women and being against toxic masculinity. This is Doug, right? Is it toxic masculinity to slap your girlfriend? I wonder if this is what he was talking about when he was lecturing us.
Moment. Has being second gentleman changed your own view of perceived gender roles or what it means to be a man?
This is something I've thought about a lot and something I've spoken about a lot. There's too much of toxicity, masculine toxicity out there, and we've kind of confused what it means to be a man, what it means to be masculine, where you've got this trope out there that you've got to be tough and, angry and lash out to be strong. It's just the opposite.
Says the guy who allegedly slapped a then girlfriend while waiting in a valet line for allegedly flirting with another man. What a nut.
Strength is how you show your love for people. Strength is how you are for people and how you have their back and how you stick up for other people.
I believe the story, full disclosure. I do. It's always the people that go out there and virtue signal how great they are that are really just scumbags underneath it all. Like, let me tell you about how great I am and how we need to get rid of this toxic masculinity. Don't worry about the stories in my past about me slapping up my then girlfriend. I'm a good guy. I'm Doug Emhoff.
And pushing out against bullies. I mean, that's what I believe it is. So every time I can speak against this toxicity, we're seeing it with our younger people. We're seeing it in our discourse and our politics. In the media, you're seeing it as it relates to so many of the issues that we're pushing back on. So I think it's a problem, and I'm going to continue to use this platform every time I get to speak out against this toxic masculinity that's out.
Yeah, speak out against the toxic masculinity. It's a good take. Doug Emhoff allegedly slapping around his girlfriend. So let's go through the timeline one more time, all right? 2009, he cheated on his wife and impregnated the kid's nanny. Then in 2012, he allegedly physically assaults his then girlfriend. Then in 2023, he lectures us on toxic masculinity. And nowadays, he's being hailed for redefining
talked about
masculinity.
your role here is how your role has reshaped the perception of masculinity. And I'm not sure you planned on that, but you are an incredibly supportive spouse. Has that been an evolution for you? And do you think that's part of the role you might play as first gentleman?
It's funny. I've started to think a lot about this. I've always been like this. My dad was like this. And
yeah, well. Insane. Is this disqualifying for Kamala Harris? Do you think voters are going to pay attention to this story and it's going to weigh heavy on their mind when they go into the voting booth? 615-737-9986.
She just looks at her husband and goes, "Sorry, man, you didn't make the draft. We got to go with a different pick."
Yeah. Are they going to pull him mid-race like they did Biden? Janet in Springfield, your thoughts on the second gentleman?
Well, hopefully you can hear me in here. I'm in the middle of a car wash. I'm laughing in the car all by myself as the words come out of this toxic man who slapped up a woman whose last name is Naylor. And I'm losing my mind in the irony of all this.
Yeah. These things are wild. But as a woman, Janet, and I don't want to assume genders, it is 2024, but I'm assuming you're a woman. Do you think that this story is going to weigh heavy on the female vote?
Well, probably. And I raised 3 sons, and they know better than I am so sorry that I got caught in the car wash. They know better than to raise their hand to a woman. They are gentlemen. They're masculine. 2 sergeants in the United States Army. These guys know better. And until women teach and men model that it's not toxic. I am 64 years old, and I can't tell you how many young men I thank for holding my door for me.
Amen.
I'm talking teenage men, college students, and, whatever.
Yeah.
It's the right thing to do. It is the order of man to cover women, and I'm a strong woman. I can take care of myself, but it is so nice to have a man just gentlemanly behavior. That is not toxic. That's desired by about every woman I know.
Amen, Janet. I really appreciate the call, and surprisingly good service inside that car wash. I would go as far to say that that's some of the best service that we've had from some of our callers, and that was inside a car wash.
It's been a weird connection day for sure.
It's been weird. But I think this story is really going to be interesting as we move forward, because they always say we can't elect someone like Trump. What would this say to our kids when we let somebody like this get into the White House? Like, well, what about the first female vice president and her husband allegedly impregnating nannies and teachers and allegedly slapping up girlfriends? What does that say? I look forward to the left completely ignoring this story as best they can. I don't think you're going to see this one on ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC anytime soon. But it's an interesting story nonetheless. Again, Daily Mail had it first. Confirmed by 3 friends of the victim, Doug Emhoff, allegedly slapping up an ex-girlfriend. Yikes. It's 11:49 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 11:56 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The reports of Donald Trump's demise in the presidential campaign of 2024 have been far exaggerated. J.D. Vance put that on full display last night. I think we're in a good spot.
Bus. I'm on the struggle bus.
You're on the struggle bus,
you
too.
Sound like, man, oh, man.
My bus is falling apart, bro.
I like that hat, though.
You like it?
That's a good-looking hat.
I've had this since last October. I got it right at the end. And I just took the sticker off today. It's my MAGAween.
MAGAween. Make America Great Again. Nice orange, black. Got Trump on the back with a little pumpkin.
It's got a little pumpkin.
I like it. Well, that's a little Tim Walz pumpkin head on the back.
I've been waiting to unveil this.
This is nice. It's good.
This is my October fit.
I'm not supposed, as a man of faith, I'm not supposed to covet. There's a little coveting going on. Little coveting. I admit it.
It's a good one. It's a good one. It's a good one.
Nice.
What's up, Murphy?
What's going on, man?
Last night was awesome.
Great night. What a great night.
Mad real.
Love seeing the crowd. Love seeing the people. We need that type of energy for election night. We announced it. We'll be in Lebanon at the Wilson County Fairgrounds on election night. So hopefully everybody that was there, everybody that was there for the presidential debate. I'm amazed that we probably had 400 people for a VP debate.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, it's insane.
Like, I understand the crowd for Trump.
Trump, yeah.
Trump Biden or Trump Harris.
Yeah.
But this is the one that's supposed to be like a meh.
Yeah, it's just a VP debate.
Do you think this one meant a little bit more, though?
Yeah, I do.
I mean, you got attempts on Donald Trump's life. The VP really does matter.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody knows anything about Harris and Walz.
Well, and if we come to a good conclusion, especially for those who have problems for whatever reason, and I'm not going to try to slam on you during the month of October because I need you November 5th, but if you have issues with Donald Trump, this is your future. This is the future of the Republican Party right now.
Yep.
I mean, hopefully he's the future as vice president because Trump only has one term, and then obviously he's going to be well in the mix for his own term as president of the United States. That's your future, and the future looks really good.
But, like, we have a bench. You think about who's coming up behind us in the in the Republican Party. We do have a bench. We got guys like J.D., guys like Vivek, guys like Josh Hawley. Even DeSantis, to a lesser extent, in my eyes.
I know you're not a fan of DeSantis, but if he's on your bench down the line, it's a great bench.
If he's the sixth man,
yeah, it's a good bench.
I'll take it. We're really poised for the future. You can't say the same about the Democrats. I've been hearing rumblings about Bernie Sanders in 28.
I mean, honestly, who is? I mean, outside of AOC, I suppose, who's an absolute nut job.
I mean, you got Wes Moore in Maryland. You got Josh Shapiro. But then it really thins out.
There's a bunch of old people.
Yeah.
I love it. I loved last night. Obviously, I've stayed away from you. I told Chris on reaction days I try to stay away. I stayed away from Andrus, stayed away as much as I could from Han because I like to get different types of reaction. I don't want my reaction to be impacted by Chris Han's astute analysis over the last 3 hours. So
we've been astuting.
But I'll tell you this: we got through 90 minutes of the debate, and only one guy on the stage admitted that he was a liar and has been for the last 30 years. So I think that's a bonus for JD.
It's only been a few decades of lies.
I mean, you and I did the same thing, right? He got caught in a lie, and he did the meme. He did the meh.
At least double down on it and be like, nah, bro, I was there.
I was there, dude.
That picture was taken way earlier.
You know the tank and the guy and the bags? Tim Walz.
I was actually in that tank. I was right there. That's Murphy's in next. Before I go, by the way, did you catch the story about Doug Emhoff?
I did.
Slapping chicks.
Believe women, guys. Believe women. And beating women in public. That's nice.
Yeah. Nothing says I'm against toxic masculinity like beating a woman in the valet line.
No good. We'll talk about it.
All right, perfect. Murphy's in next. It's 12 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.